You've worked with, obviously, many acclaimed directors and actors, best of the best. Who has had the most profound impact on your career, if anyone?
As a director, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I learned a lot from Peter Weir, you know, did a couple of pictures with him, did Truman Show and a picture called The Way Back, which not too many people have seen, but it's really a good movie. Just because he's so thorough, you know, every aspect. I mean, let's get the buttons changed on that shirt, you know.
Yeah.
Agnieszka Holland, a Polish woman who I've done 3 movies with. I've learned a lot from her. You know, you learn pretty much something from everybody you work with, even if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Fan question, this one I liked, and I never have really asked you this. What inspired you to direct Pollock?
My dad was working at the Chicago Art bookstore, Chicago Art Institute. And in '85, for my birthday, he sent me a book with a picture of Pollock on the cover, and he said, Ed, there might be a film maybe there's a film about this guy you could make. And I read it, and then he sent me another one the following year, a different book. And I started thinking about it and reading about him. And then the best man at my dad's and mom's wedding, his son was writing a book about Pollock, which turned out to be a Pulitzer Prize winning, you know, big old volume. And I got in touch with him and eventually tracked down who had the rights to it and all that, and got into it. But that's how it started.
It's interesting, I want to ask you this question. I just did a documentary a couple months ago for these 4 artists that are up and coming. They don't know each other, and they all moved to Marfa, Texas, which is, you know, it's in the high desert in West Texas, and if you haven't been there, it's really in the middle of nowhere, but it's a total artist, hippie town, and it's just really cool. What I learned was, and I always thought about this, especially because of Jackson Pollock, and when you and Robert were doing Pollock, I've always been intimidated by art that I don't understand, so when I would look at a Pollock painting, I felt kind of dumb and uneducated because I didn't understand exactly what I was looking at, but I didn't want to verbalize that to anybody because they would say, you know, that's a Jackson Pollock painting, dumb butt. I mean, what do you mean you don't understand? In doing this documentary, all 4 of those artists, they have bizarre art. One does a structure that's 50 feet tall out in the middle of a field. One girl does abstract faces. Anyway, there were 4 of them. And one of them's name is Matthew Gray. And what he does is he gets 1 mile of pipe, and he makes sure it's 1 mile, then he cuts it in pieces, and then with no ladder, he starts building a structure in the middle of West Texas. Now he's becoming pretty famous. They put the cameras on me, they had no script for me, and it was just gonna be total improv. And so we meet on camera, there's like 4 cameras going, and I didn't know what to say to him right off the bat, so I'm looking at this structure that, I mean, I don't know what it is. And he goes, what do you think? And I was just looking at it, and I got so paranoid, I went, I have a couple of questions, Matthew. One is, do you remember what you had for breakfast the first morning you came out here and started this? And he goes, why did you ask that? And I go, I don't know, I just wondered, were there drugs involved or coffee? And long story short, the reason I'm bringing this up, it always reminds me of Pollock. At the end, he clearly knew I was confused, and he knew that I didn't understand his work. And he said, Rex, can I just make this really clear? What you're looking at is not otherworldly. It's what came out of my brain and came out of, every once in a while, half gallon of vodka, and it's what I do for my life. I do. Now, my work is over, And the work now is for you to interpret it. And if you interpret it in a way that you don't understand it, then that's your interpretation of it. That's all there is to it. And I said, what about Pollock? I thought I was going to throw him off. He goes, what about him? And I said, well, I mean, did you understand the Pollock? He goes, oh yeah, I think so. Well, then I just went to another subject because I look at a Pollock painting and I just think, I like Pollock, but I just wish I could understand it more. Did you understand Pollock?
Well, it's like Pollock, like he says in the film, you know, it's like looking at a bed of flowers. You just enjoy it. You don't have to interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
Just check it out. Appreciate it.